All right, which brings us to our last speaker of the day. It's hard to go last. You know, we've had a pretty big set of speakers that have inspired us throughout the last day and a half. And so we were thoughtful in who we would ask to really close and conclude our day. And as we think of a brighter future, no person exemplifies that better than Robert Swan. And so, Robert, I don't see you. Oh, you're hiding. Have you gotten mic'd up? Are you good? Okay, please. So, Robert Swan, ladies and gentlemen. Is exemplifies the word?
Thanks very much, Steve. Well, good evening, everybody. One thing that Steve did not say to you in his excellent introduction, I am actually the first person in history stupid enough to have walked to both bloody poles, north and south. Let's get that straight. And if you are that person, and I am, I guarantee you that Rob Swan standing here is only sure of four things for the rest of my life. First and foremost, I'm sure I hate bloody walking. I've done enough. Secondly, at a temperature of minus 73 degrees Celsius, it's quite chilly. At that temperature, sweat turns to ice inside your clothing. So the second thing I'm sure of is I do not enjoy having ice in my underpants. It's yet to thrill. Thirdly, after 57 fairly tough years so far on the planet, no insurance company has got the courage to give me life cover. No one will cover me. You'll understand why. And lastly, and it's really relevant to us here now, is you know what people say to me before we undertake a mission? Two things. First, you're going to fail, Rob. Secondly, you're going to die, Rob. And Steve won't mind me saying, when I think of these people, I call them the positive bastards. I ask you a simple question. How many times have you been into a room with really gloomy, negative people and come out and felt better? The answer's no. So all of us here have to, in our missions, our journeys, have to be the positive person, because no one is ever inspired by negative. And I've tried and failed, but I keep trying to live my life by the following words. If you can do or dream you can, begin it now. For boldness has genius, power and magic in it. I try. Now imagine walking to the South Pole across a continent twice the size of Australia. And a map of where you're going looks like the screen. Nothing! You get there. I lost 69 pounds in 70 days. It was hard. And then you find yourself by a series of aeroplanes standing at Heathrow Airport looking a bit thin. You haven't had a proper bath or shower for a year. It's even extreme for an Englishman. You haven't seen your girlfriend for a year. There's lots of excitement. But the first thing you're told is you have to go on a TV chat show with 20 million viewers. And the first question you're asked is, was it cold, Bob? But eventually they get around to one good question, and it's fabulous what you said, our gymnast. Dreams. I was lucky. I saw a film when I was 11 about the Antarctic, and I wanted to become the first person in history to walk to both poles. Everybody laughed. Everybody said it couldn't happen, but we did it in the end. We had to spend years raising money, $5 million US. We sail south from the great city of London, and it gets a bit chilly as we're coming towards the Antarctic. An amazing place, the only place in the world that all of us still own, all of us. Then 3 of us undertook a journey, no radio communications. No fancy GPS buttons where you press a button and it tells you where you are. No, the longest unassisted march ever made anywhere on earth in history. Pulling on our backs 370 pounds in weight, 9 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you fall down a crevasse in the Antarctic, you don't come back. And we had to learn something, which is hugely important, of how you move on from this evening. Trust each other, because trust is efficient. Push away doubt, trust. And we had to trust each other fully with our lives. Sometimes we wear spikes on the bottom of our feet to grip the ice. We're getting thinner. We're standing in an area now the size of the United States of America. And we are the only people there. Think of that. It's a bit lonely. And one mistake, you don't come home because you haven't got the iPhone 5S with you. There's no communications with the outside world. Day after day, we're closing in on one building, the South Pole Scientific Station. As we close in on the pole, our ship returns from Australia. They will unload an aeroplane. The plane will take off from an iceberg, fly to the South Pole, look for us. And if they find us, we jump on the plane, go home, and do something we promised to do. Hope some of you please remember the name Jacques Cousteau from France. Good chap. Didn't like Englishmen, but he liked English girls. So I found a way to go and have a chat with him. Actually, no more details forthcoming, but he became my patron, helped me raise the money. But he asked me to do something. Make sure we just left our footsteps in the snow of the Antarctic, took away all our rubbish, left the continent clean and tidy. We made that promise to the great Jacques Cousteau. 70 days. There was the bottom of the world, the United States, fantastic science station, Scott Amundsen base. We'd done it, and we had 5 minutes to go, yes! And then the base commander, who had radio communications, came out of the base and said, sorry, lads, your ship just sank. So right at the moment of our pointless success, everything goes wrong. Now, the point is this. Leadership is very simple. You should think carefully before you make a commitment, especially in our business. Think carefully. And once you make a commitment, deliver on it. And standing at the South Pole, it wasn't the best day of my life. I thought, let's finish the job. It would take 1 year extra of our lives in Antarctica, 1 year. No one's ever paid. And we stayed there long enough to get another ship to come in and leave Antarctica tidy. Why did we do that? Because you must build track record in life. So when you say you're going to do something, people believe you. Do what you say you're going to do. I'm proud that we did that. Now, something happened to me walking to the South Pole that brought me here. And it hurt. My eyes changed colour in 70 days through damage. Our faces entirely blistered off, the skin ripped away. Why? It hadn't happened to the real explorers 100 years before us. Why? Because we walked under a hole in the ozone layer the year it was discovered. Fabulous! Ultraviolet rays down, hit the ice, bounced back, fried out my eyes, burnt our faces off. It got me thinking that maybe these issues weren't somebody else's problem. Maybe they were mine. But unfortunately, a commitment was made to walk to both poles. Not sure why, but we start walking now. This time, 8 of us from 7 nations. There's been a lot of talk today about engaging customers. Well, my customers are young people, just like yours, right? My customers are young people, and you don't inspire young people by sending them a text. You inspire young people by engaging them. So we had 22 young people from 15 nations at our base. while 8 of us from 7 nations walk across the great Arctic Ocean. You're going to walk 700 miles every step away from land, every step. And it's not Tarzan or Amazon stuff, this. If you think you can take on the Arctic Ocean, it will kill you. Sensitivity, care, respect for each other, even a bit of love will get you through. That's strong. Also, you can be eaten by polar bears to add to the enjoyment. But you know something? I love coming to this great nation. But it is quite odd that a lot of people who are supposed to be in charge of you still don't believe that climate change is happening. They should go and talk to the polar bears who are dying. We need to inspire people to listen. Anyhow, 20 years ago, we had plenty of ice. Here's me coming in from washing naked at minus 71 Fahrenheit. It's a bit cold. And gentlemen, you will notice, gentlemen, on closer inspection, that there is absolutely nothing hanging down in the central area of the photograph. It is your job, gentlemen, to explain to our esteemed ladies later why this happens to a naked man at minus 70. It's cold. Even 21 years ago, just imagine being, it'll be written on my gravestone, 647 miles from land in the middle of a frozen ocean, which is supposed to melt in August. On April the 7th, the entire ocean melted. And remember, we're British led. So we don't have a flipping CNN camera crew filming us live. No one knows where we are. We don't have communications and we're dead. But somehow we hold it together. We march 40-hour days for 7 days in a row. People become badly injured. We're not some Discovery Survivor program where you can do a bit of surviving and then check into the Four Seasons in the evening. When things go wrong for us, they go badly wrong, and our brave American, Darrell E. Roberts, from Harlem, New York City, he lost his heel 116 miles from the pole. He continues to march. And after a desperate struggle, we stand at 90 North. Job done. Yes, it's pointless to walk to both poles. I did it. But the point is, what's your point? And I think the point is you should be proud of what you do. And we were. We go back to the great warmth. I go and see Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, who I might point out, ladies, is a fine and gracious lady. Her family's a bit dodgy, but the Queen is fab. And after seeing the Queen, I was invited to the first ever World Summit on the Environment, and I spoke to all the world leaders for 5 minutes. All of them were asleep, but I gave it a go. There I met Jacques Cousteau again. He didn't say, "Well done, Robert." He said, "What are you doing for the next 50 years?" So I said, "Give me a chair. I'm sure you're going to tell me." And he gave me a 50-year mission 22 years ago. In the year 2041, the treaty that protects Antarctica means we all own it. No one can touch it. It can stop. In 28 years from now, we need to leave one place alone on Earth forever. That's the long-term mission. Short term, I would undertake a mission for the world leaders involving young people and business women and businessmen, and come back to the Second World Summit and tell them all what we've done. Focus on the positive. We take 35 young people from warring nations to the Antarctic, Israel, Palestine, Russia, Chechnya, Bosnian, Muslim, Croat and Serb, Northern Ireland, Catholic and Protestant, India, Pakistan, all these places with a bit of fighting. We took young people to a place we'll never fight about, and gave them a great story to go home. Unfortunately, they selected the mission, the removal of 1,500 tons of twisted metal, left in Antarctica by the former Soviet Union. This took 8 years, $12 million the idiot here had to raise. Joint cooperation with the Russian government. Anybody done it? It means you pay for everything, but it was great. Businesswomen, businessmen, we took down a ship, 8 years of work, 3 months a year, huge battle, loaded up the rubbish, loaded up the metal, and I'm very proud to say that we recycled that all in the country of Uruguay, South America. Cleaned the beach, went to the Second World Summit, fantastic. Now we go and see all those world leaders in Johannesburg. We take our yacht that sails the 7 seas. We made the longest overland voyage ever made in history. Took the yacht to see kids who'd never seen the sea. The point is this, ladies and gentlemen, fire it up while you've got the chance. Do inspiring things. Don't be the person in the room that's gloomy. Take it on. As our wonderful gentleman said earlier, paddle it out. I like that a lot. Well done. And as we came round Southern Africa, we arrived at the summit, we met these world leaders, bit more awake this time, but not much. But you know something? Don't always support things that are current and popular and kind of in. Support the right things. And I support these world summits because they may not achieve what we want them to achieve, but at least they achieve something. So I promised we'd be at the 3rd World Summit. On the way, I realized that only KPMG, the accountants, could really save Antarctica. How? If we use more clean, renewable energy in the real world, it means that we won't have to go and exploit Antarctica. It won't make financial sense. So we would build education stations all over the world, sail our yacht round the world. You know, this isn't a kind of United Airlines flight plan. This is 8 years at sea to go to the 3rd World Summit, which was to be held in Singapore. Mark that thought. And on the way, we showed young people how things work. Show, don't tell, show. Under a famous bridge not far from here where I now live, I like it there, recycled plastic bottle sails with solar panels on, they work. And every year we go to the Antarctic, every year. And I take young students, I take businesswomen, businessmen, and we go just for 2 weeks to go and see exactly what's happening there. I spend a lot of time in India. It's why I'm not very English coloured. I've just lived for 3.5 years in India. And a lot of that time also in China. We've talked about why these nations are so important. They really are. There's only 300 million people in the great United States of America. There's more people in the middle class in India than there are people in America. Bear that one in mind. And every year we head south on a fast ship, go and see where the ice caps are melting, do a bit of walking, go and see our education station that only works on renewable energy in the Antarctic. This is my home. Girls, check out the plastic flowers. Efforts are made. But it works only on renewable energy. If we can do it there, we could do it more here. And as I say, we were on the way to that 3rd World Summit. On the way, we'd visit India. Be relevant. I'm quickly coming to the end of the story, so don't panic. Timers. But be relevant, you know. It's really important that all of us on our mission have a check that we're still being relevant. Because it's really easy to think you're being relevant and you find out you're not being. So have a relevancy check. And I realized that in India, it was no point going on a yacht. No one would listen. So last year I did 3,500 miles on a bicycle around India, which is more dangerous than walking to both poles backwards in your underpants. But it was hugely relevant to the kids there. Built our 2nd education station, only running on renewable energy. Our 3rd education station opened a month ago, right at the northern tip of India. All these buildings running only on renewable energy. And we were just about to arrive in Singapore for the Third World Summit. Guess what we were told? Sorry, lads, we're having it back in Rio. Now, sometimes you've got to throw all the cards on the table. Don't hold them back. So my captain said, I'm out of here. I've done 8 years, Rob. It's enough. I said, Captain, come back. I will give you our yacht if you get her to Rio. He came back on board. He got us to Rio through a few storms. We arrived 2 days before the world leaders were supposed to arrive. But we got there because we made a promise. Do what you say you're going to do. Interesting there. And I've heard it a lot today. It's inspired me how much industry and business are coming forward. The leaders, don't wait for them. We should do it. We should lead. Holes in the ozone can be fixed. They have been. And finally, a bit more walking is necessary. So at the end of 2015, we're going back to the South Pole. 30 years on since we walked there in the footsteps of Captain Scott. But this time, we're going to make that 1,000 miles on foot, only using renewable energy to survive. It's never been done, but we're going to do it. Why? Because you need to walk the talk. And I'm taking my son, Barney, who's 19, to be a bit more relevant to young people, because I'm too old for that. And anybody who feels a bit old today, oh, well, isn't it sad? I will be so ancient to do this that people are talking about Zimmer frames with skis on it. Well, I'll tell you what I'm saying. Anyhow, if you believe it, you can do it. And ladies and gentlemen, I end with this. I've heard some fantastic things here. And Steve, I want to thank you for your vision to ask me to come and close off the day. And thanks for staying, by the way. It would have been a bit depressing if you hadn't. But what we've talked about endlessly today is this whole idea of taking step by step. It's important that we go step by step. But I think it's really time that we started walking, isn't it? We're going to walk. And I've got 70 students going to the Antarctic in March. Stephanie is here. She's been on our expedition. 70 young students from all over the world, from 30 different nations. And I hope that some of you might join us to get the message out of all the fabulous things you're doing to young people all over the world. So if you fancy come to Antarctica, speak to me, speak to Stephanie, Annie, our wonderful CEO at the back, and I think Rudy's here. He's been with us. So good luck to you all, and I hope those words, if you can do or dream you can, begin it now. For boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Good luck to you all. Thank you.